Okay, I've sold out. I'm gone like way glitter. I didn't put any on my lips though, but I will. Glitter, glitter. I'm just like, started trying to be original and everything's in season. It's just, frick. Any which way. I've been asked about my childhood, and I'm not going to get into, and this is part one, I'm not going to get into like the heavy abuse shit and stuff, just the cool stuff, which is still fucked up. So this is part one. Earliest memory, I think I was 3. No. Oh, okay, this is a story that my mother was a bit of a narcissist, just for like 9 million years keeps talking about. My grandmother worked for like the cardinal or archbishop or whatever for the Catholic thing in West Vancouver, and he had this like mansion and a sprawling like park and a horticultural thing, and he had a golden retriever named Goldie, and I'd be 2 and I'd see Goldie, and I'd be 1.5 and see Goldie, and I'd run from my mother, and I'd run not to my grandmother but to Goldie, and Goldie would run to me, and it'd be like, so guess what my fucking first word was? I don't know how. It took me a while to speak. My first word was Goldie, right? Therapeutically, apparently, Goldie is the only first real parental figure I ever had in my life. And like Goldie and I would go into the forest, and my mother would freak out. My grandmother would be like, Goldie will protect Sasha. If something happens, Goldie will protect. I loved Goldie. It was a beautiful golden retriever. Okay, so I'm like 3, and I'm like stomping like I'm hitting the big box, and like I have a stick and I'm hitting, and grandma's like, we gotta get him drums. We're going to the music store. We're gonna get him baby drums. And my mother's like, no, we're not. Oh, fuck, we're gonna go, aren't we? So we go, and I'm like smashing away, and I'm like, oh, cymbal. Dun, dun, boom, boom, pow, boom, 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 yes. And it's like fucking 100 decibels, and it's like a baby drum, right? It has like it has everything, like, and the kick on it was like awesome, and my grandmother was very insistent. I think it was around at that time like $700 for it, because it was a baby. So it was, I don't know what the kit was, but it was like for someone my size, and I was like, little boys, and you hear this statement, because my grandmother's like 90,000 years old, and my father's the same age, and they're both dead, whatever. Both 90,000 years old, and my mother's like 12, okay, like no daddy around issues. So my mother is smart, is like, yeah, you can buy the drums, you can. There's only one condition. They stay with you, so he can play them when he comes over to you. And my grandmother's like, oh, no, I think maybe we should wait on the drums. My mother was a little bit smart that way. Okay, New Year's Eve, I'm 4 years old, and they're like, oh, he's old enough. Like, I mean, this is European culture. It's like fucking 3-year-olds drink. So they're like, let's give him like a full like flute of Asti Spumante variation of champagne. I take a sip, I'm like, down it. And then I'm like, oh, and I'm like 4. And I slap my knee. I keep hearing this story like this. That's my kind of drink. Hiccup, hiccup. I need more. Oh, okay, just one more glass. And then they give me one more glass, and then I like passed out blissfully. I'm like, oh, this is like the best New Year's Eve ever. Okay, so I started drinking when I was 4. According to AA, that's when I lost my maturity. So I don't know, 4 years old. Okay, let's skip to 8 years old. Now, back in the day, it's summer, and my mother's Croatian, and my grandmother's Croatian, though I might be completely Irish. It's a long story, and I can't get into it. And there's some native in me, too, my grandma. Like, my father was, like, old school. It was like, that kid is not wearing a stitch of fucking clothing when he's around the house. And, like, other kids in, like, North Vancouver, and they was like, yeah, we'd run around fucking nude. Whoop-de-doo. All right. So at 8, things I had discovered. Metallica, Master of Puppets. Now, my mother's really weird. You could put TLC on, and she's like, "Oh, the new music you kids listen to today is awful. It's awful." But she can't stand bass and rhythm. She has no rhythm. Like, she likes classical music and opera, right? And, like, some really bad stuff. And, like, my father's constantly like, no, no. And 3/4, Vienna Waltz, I think I knew. I was like moving around. 3/4, I knew that. I knew 4/4 and 3/4. That was it. She couldn't. She's like, "You're doing it wrong, Sasha. You have no rhythm." I'm like, "No, it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3." And she's like just snapping away at it. Fuck, no rhythm. So anything with drums and bass, too high. But yeah, she loved the Scorpions. It's like, I like the Scorpions. So she was like a little worried about Master Puppets because she would listen to what my father brought into the house. And my father was like, no. He needs to toughen up. He's going to like this. He likes AC/DC, okay? Because Danny friend's son, like, introduced me to AC/DC when I was 5. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, he's going to love this. And I loved it. My mother was like, okay, fuck, fine. I'm tired of fighting with you. So he puts it on and Master of Puppets starts. And some of the album confused me because I knew 3/4 and 4/4. But like, especially in Justice for All, like at that age, you're like tapping your foot and then halftime because they're like going 200 beats per minute. And then all of a sudden, like an Harvester of Sorrow on Injustice for All, it's like, wait a minute, what's this? Right? Because they're like adding an extra part to make the riff cooler, and then there's like 50,000 different time signatures and whatever. So Master of Puppets. And at those days, there was a place out in Commercial Drive where they did imprints of shirts. So I wanted a Metallica shirt, and I heard Master Puppets, and then my friend had a copy of Ride Lightning. So I wanted a Ride Lightning shirt because apparently it would be really cliche to be an 8-year-old boy and have a Master of Puppets shirt, because that's when 8-year-old boys listen to Metallica. It's their first album. It's not Kill 'Em All. And I wanted a Batman shirt, okay? But I didn't want like the black and the yellow. I wanted a purple one. So we go there, and it's like, in those days, it was like not now. Like the technology, it took forever to make the shirt. So I was like crushed. They didn't have a purple shirt in my size. And my mom was like, well, why don't we try to find something bigger, because he's going to grow out of this, and this is just bullshit that I have to pay for this fucking shit. And he's like, the kid's practically crying, okay? What other, just look at it. I want Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden on a black shirt, and I want it. We'll do that for free. And my mom was like, oh, thank you. As I'm going to school, and I'm wearing a Number of the Beast, and there's like Satan, and my teacher, he's like gay, and a typical grade 3 teacher, gay, and he's like, it's cool, because his best friend teacher, who had like gay children, gay sons, was like, she was like 70 or like 50, I don't know, at that age you don't know, she was probably 40, she was really good looking, was like, oh, I don't know if he should be wearing that to school. And he's like, it's fine. He was so fucking hard on me because he knew that I was one of the boys, even at that age. So I had to learn the I can't pronounce it right now, where you just, whatever, times things. The multiplication table there. It's like saying anonymity, right? And just hardcore. So the favorite thing in my life at 8 were a few things. Actually, not just one thing. Garfield. And when I came back from outdoor school, there was a big fat fucking Garfield on my bed. And I loved Garfield. So that summer at 8, we were just a corner store. Like they'd let us in like buck naked, and we'd have like a little thing with where we could have our money. But anyway, I had developed a bit of an addiction to two things at 8. I would put on like my cool Hawaiian shorts with pockets and a deck of cards. And I would like, what I would do before I'd leave the house, and I'd be in sandals, and then I'd have like a wooden neck. My mother refused. My grandmother got me like a gold chain, right, with a cross, and I had that, but my mother refused to. But she was like, "We're getting you fucking wood because you're just gonna grow out of it, and I'm not spending more than $10 so you can have something around your neck and feel that you're fucking awesome." Okay, thank you, mother. So I would like, we're gonna fucking, we're gonna play Wizard or something. We're gonna play Solitaire, my buds and I. So I would like put 2 cards and I like sneak, and then I put the other deck of cards away. Now, I had started smoking at 8. And my mother was a virulent smoker. She smoked in those days like 5 packs a day. And she rolled them up. So I sold them. And the first time I had a cigarette, I coughed myself to death and puked. And I thought, and this is great. So I waited the next day, and then I had another one, and I just coughed myself to death, and then I puked. No puking. Next day I have one, and I'm like, yeah, this is it. So I would take my Garfield, because I'm like, I love my Garfield. He's going everywhere with me. And I go like outside in the corner store in my Hawaiian shorts, shirtless, tan. I think I had like one of those little bracelets. I don't know. And I would just sit outside because they sold cigarettes there. Like these were the days when things were different, right? And I would have Garfield with me, and I'd like go to people. I'd be like, hey, because I had tried Rothmans from a friend of mine at elementary school, and I was like, fuck this player's shit. So I was addicted to Rothmans. Like I'd have one a day, and then Friday night I would have 3. I'd like duck out. Where are you going, Sasha? Oh, I'm just gonna go out. And so I would be like with Garfield, and I'd be like, okay, like Garfield needs a pack of Rothman cigarettes. And the adult would stop, and they'd be like, and I'm like, no, it's not for me. I'm not smoking. I'm not a bad boy. No, Garfield Normal is coming to stay with us for a week, okay? And, those Schick commercials, Garfield has that problem. I don't know what it is, and he stopped doing the bad, like drugs. I think it's drugs are bad. And he really needs to smoke. And 80% of the people would be like, you're so adorable. No, honey, I can't do that for you. But these were different times. 20% of the people would be like, fuck, that's brilliant. I'll be right back. And then I get it. And I go into the candy store with my allowance. And I would like just stock up on like Wonder Bars and like jelly beans, and like she had like a Slurpee machine that was not like 7-Eleven. Like this was like Asian Slurpee, right? This is like the stuff that you get in Montreal. They give you diabetes in 2 seconds. I stocked that up, and she'd be like, honey. So I've already got a pack of free cigarettes. They were cheap in those days. And she was like, you not tell your mama. You'll not tell your mama. I know what you like. So I would have 2 packs and be like, fuck, how am I going to do this? I'm going to like put it in my butt crack. I'm like genius at 8. Put the other cards in my butt crack. So I have 2 packs in my pocket and just transfer them. So I was I'm happy I'm off Garfield. I was like a sugar addict. Like, this was like a perfect Friday night for me at 8. It's like my bud's coming over, and we're like chilling, and I'm like nude, and my father's like, let him fucking be a boy, all right? And my mother's like, you get to watch Aliens tonight. I think you can handle it. You and your bud. I phoned his mom. We hate each other, but you get to watch Aliens. So I'm like, all right. So I go out with a Wonder Bar, and I'm like, and I like Coke, but I like Pepsi. And kids love Pepsi. She had a ball of Pepsi, so I took a glass. I'm just going out, Mama. I don't. Dad's in the bathroom again. I just need to take a whiz in the garden. Okay, honey, it's going to take me a while. So I go out, and she can't smell the smoke coming because she smokes. They smoked inside, and there was like smoke. My father smoked as well. But my father didn't smoke Players Light. He smoked Export, which was a little too harsh for me, though I stole them when I was desperate, and he bought them in packs. But I loved Rothmans. They ate. So my bud's coming, so I'm smoking, and of course we're going to go out and smoke later. And I'm like having the Pepsi, like, okay, oh, Jesus, oh, Wonder Bar, and the Pepsi to wash it down, and the cigarette, like, oh, and then my bud comes over, and we're like, fist pump, we're watching Aliens tonight, and like, fuck yeah, and so we're watching Aliens, and it's awesome, and it's heavenly. Now, my mother, before she moved and disowned me because I have cancer, because people in my family, like some of her cousins were like 20 when they got chronic myeloid, and they died like in a day, right? Because the younger you are, the more lethal it is. But she did find something from my childhood. She was like, what are you going to name it? Wolfgar? And I'm like looking at it. I'm like 8. And I'm like, this is like a friggin' hybrid warrior. Like, it's not even a girl or a boy. It's like an Odin warrior, like Valkyrie, Thor. I'm going to name it. And like, I'm predicting different metal. Well, no, it was probably, they were around then. It's funny. My friend was like, you need to check out this band. They're like Motorhead, but goth, but punk. I'm like, its name is Dark Throne. And she's like, okay, I can take that. Because what happened a couple of years prior to that, when I was 6, we got this gerbil hamster, chihuahua, like just whatever they call it, like a multi-breed thing they were doing in those days. And so it was like big and fat and cute and had big eyes. And so we got everything for it. And when we come home, she's like, look into its eyes. It's going to bite your finger because it's going to think it's a carrot. Don't cry. And ask its name. So I did. And I looked in its eyes. And I'm like, creature that is now mine that I must love. I love you. You're fat. I wasn't fat at 6. I was at 8. But I love fat things. And I got fatter. I looked in its eyes. And I'm like, its name is Biohazard. And my mother's like, are you sure that this hamster gerbil, I don't know what it is, that it told you that its name is Biohazard? Are you sure? And I'm like, Mother, it wants to be called Biohazard. You have to like totally be into it, because I didn't even know the word respect, right? Like, you gotta, like a new honor though, right? Like, you gotta honor his name. And my father's like, it's fucking Biohazard, for fuck's sakes. I'm going to divorce you and take this child away from you. You're a crazy bitch. It's my childhood any which way. At one point, when when they got divorced, my father was like, he needs a dog. And when Biohazard died, I was like so sad. And my mother had to blast Dark Entries by Bauhaus and wear a veil. And we had to have a burial session. And I was wearing all black. Like, I was devastated because my mother like didn't realize that the teeth needed to be cut down. Like, you needed to go to like a veterinarian dentist like every 3 months. And so when she took the veterinarian dentist, he was like, he's stupid, whatever. And he died from starvation. So I was devastated, and I had to like go for childhood counseling or something for it. So he brings like little puppy German shepherds and stuff. And she's like, some of those are like baby feral wolves. What the fuck are you doing? There's going to be no dog in this house. Okay, you're not here. He's not going to take care of it because these things are going to grow like 5 times his size. Like, just fuck off. And then he's like, you're not letting your son reach his full fucking potential. So, yeah, addicted to sugar, cigarettes once in a while, Metallica, and then we listened to like Slayer, like secretly. We were like, my friends and I were like, ooh, Satan, can I bring baby Schnuckles? That's your baby. It's from you had him when you were 5. he's possessed by Akabaka and Zanitra. They're demonic spirits or something. No, bring Schnuckles for the Slayer listening session. Yeah, when you're 9 and you're listening to like 7 Churches by Possessed, and you're like, yeah, and you're like, the group of you are like fist pumping, and you're like, fuck yeah. The sickest thing I think my mother ever did in a healthy context is after V came on, she was like, okay, I need to, and I watched the whole fucking thing for like a whole week, both series. I was like out of my mind, so happy. She was like, that happened in the 80s. So what I need to tell you, son of mine, is something you need to know. I am actually one of those lizard aliens. Okay? And I was left behind and I wasn't killed. And I can't rip off the flesh because there's a new machine that just grinds it in. So you need to know that your mother's an alien and you're a half-bred alien human child and you have like lizard alien in you. And I didn't freak out. I was like, cool. But that night I was like, my bedroom was next to hers. I was like, I think I'm going to sleep on the couch tonight. Okay, so, what's going on? Oh, shit. My brushes, my toys and my brushes talk to me. I don't have a Garfield toy. I should get one. I had one that literally had a Hawaiian shirt and a nipple ring. Okay, it was like, I think it was like the character out of South Park, right? With like, Lord, my Stila, I don't know if this is like a color corrector concealer. Because the color corrector for the beard, right? And it's Stila. I'm a bitch. Okay. I think this was originally developed for, like 3-year-old beauty pageant contests. So, like, and you watch these documentaries and the 3-year-old girls are like packing on the primer and the foundation and the false lashes and contouring themselves to shit. Like, they make Roxy Andrews look like Kate Moss with no makeup, right? So what's your fucking problem? I want 99% alcohol. No. Cupcake cleaner. I might not be done with you yet. No, yes. This is cupcake cleaner. It's not fair. No, you will be 99%ed after everything. So we're going to do part 2 at some point. So yeah, no. Sugar is like a total drug, and I was like a Slurpee junkie, like this, like, give me more. Oh, I want a Pepsi Slurpee mixed with cream soda. I want a Mountain Dew. Give me a fucking Mountain Dew. And you had to like travel like all the way to like Aldergrove almost. No. There was a place near Maple Farms that had like a root beer Slurpee. Let me tell you, for a 9-year-old boy, and we won't get, like, when I was 9, like, it was crazy. For a 9-year-old boy, that was, like, you don't understand that. No, you know what? When I visited my father, I also drank with my grandmother at 9. When I was 9, my favorite beer was Guinness, and he liked some Beck shit from hell. So he would like stock up in the Guinness and I'd be allowed 2 because I needed to learn how to drink like a man. And I really liked it. And I'd be like, num. And I was gaining weight at that point because my father thought that he was the new Julia Child and there wasn't enough butter. So like he would take a Julia Child recipe and like fatten it up. Like, is that fucking possible? Yes, it is. So a portly child, part of it was the divorce process of my father. Like, you're an evil woman and I'm taking my child. And he kidnapped me twice and stuff. And then the courts were like, should he go with Papa or Mama? Or what the fuck do we do? So, and my grandmother would like give me like gin and tonics when I was like 9. So, and my grandmother was like, my father would spank me and stuff, but my grandmother was like a fierce disciplinarian. Okay, my mother was like abused to death by her, so my mother didn't believe in physical punishment. I think she beat the shit out of me once because I broke her camera, but no, it was like, I was abused as a kid physically. I am not going to abuse that child. How could I? Had that baby and I saw it, and I don't know why my mother was that way because I could never be that way. So yeah, no, it was my grandmother. It was like, you're not disciplining him enough. And then she's like a plank, right? But she was like really cool about certain things. Like she knew I was gay, I think, because I was like in her heels when I was like 7, and then when I was like 9, I could fit in them because she was a midget of a woman, and the Hell's Angels loved her, and she wasn't like a biker. Like she was old, but she looked good, and she always had her makeup on, not much. She used to wear more like back in the day, and like heels, like you don't understand. She had to go to the hospital for her bunions a lot. So she suspected, and when I was trying to pluck my eyebrows, she was like, no, you don't pluck from the top. And she brought like this white pencil, and she was like, we're going to shape him. And then she sent me home, and my mother, couldn't wear makeup because she was allergic to it. She's such a narcissist because she had like some Givenchy stuff, and she couldn't wear contacts. So she was like, glasses always, and you shouldn't have contacts. This was later, but I was like, no, I need to look good. So my grandmother, whatever. My mother was like, your eyes look way bigger and you look handsomer. Like, what the fuck did you do to him? Did you take him to your wax? It's just, he was trying to pluck his eyebrows. He wants a good shape. And my mother's like, okay, I don't want to know. I'll leave that to her. And she had this like Ultimate 2 lipstick that like people would like pay thousands of dollars for now. She had like 5 of them. And they were like a golden honey blonde. And I'd wear it. And my grandmother would be like, some teenagers like, I know you're wearing it. And just because you've got the eyeliner like so subtle and the mascara is so subtle, I know you're wearing it. So one time there was like this, I don't know, RuPaul thing. And RuPaul was like singing, and it was like a video, and my grandmother was like, yes, I like that's better than Gwen Stefani or Madonna, that's what you should do. And then there was an interview of him, and he was like, well, I'm like a drag queen, and I'm like, really, like when I'm like this, but I live my day as a boy. And she was like, don't. And I'm like, fucking too. And she's like, don't cut it off, just do that. Now the hardest thing to do with my grandmother was because she loved Little Kim, was to convince her that Little Kim was not a drag queen. That's not a man, Granny. That's not a man. That's not a man at all. So they were having a Jehovah Witness thing. No, that was another time. I'm having some kind of cultural thing. And she went to my mom, and she was like, you know what would be cool? Because he really likes Lil' Kim so much. Like, so much. Why don't we, like, do How Many Licks? He can lip sync to it. And my mother heard this album and was like, had let me read The Happy Hooker, and I was reading Clive Cussler and all this shit. So she was like, okay, as long as he doesn't see The Big Easy or Basic Instinct, which he probably will behind my back, reading and listening to stuff isn't going to affect him, because boys and men are more visually impacted by stuff than what they read. So she knew the song intimately, and she was like, Baba. But this is like probably in Croatian. But this is what I think she probably said. One thing. He's not black. So there's the N-word. A second thing. She's practically white, but she's not. No. She's not a man. No, she's not a drag queen. My grandmother told me the story, like, back in Dubrovnik, which is beautiful. There would be a club where they would go, and they would take their boyfriends, and their boyfriends had no clue what this club was about. And the boyfriends would be like, these are the most beautiful women we have ever seen. And my grandma would be like, oh, I have a surprise for you. These aren't women. Okay, so my grandmother really liked Lil' Kim, more than me, okay? I think she wanted to be Lil' Kim. The Hells Angels loved her. She dated biker dudes. Like, you look at my grandma and you thought she was like a Prada nightmare, but no, there was like hardcore grit to that woman, right? And like, I mean, okay, all right. So it took my mother half an hour to explain the variance of why it would just be so wrong for me to go to the cultural center and lip sync in drag to How Many Licks. I can't remember what she'd suggested. what she, oh, I remember what she said. And we didn't do it. We didn't do it. My grandmother made me up and put a blonde wig on me. She was like, well, if we have to, that James Bond song from Madonna, okay? Right? Like, that's so deep, and we can, like, we can get like a simple dress and put like a Kabbalah sign on it, okay? And just this once, okay? Because he's not gay, okay? He likes girls. And my grandmother like, no, I don't. And she's like, that's a compromise in Croatian. This is my childhood. Yeah, my grandmother's not here anymore. I don't know. If she saw Black China, she'd be like, oh, another drag queen? And I'd be like, who would she like? Oh, God. Dixie Mitchell, no. Ivy Winters, no. She would love Detox. She would love Detox. And Alaska Thunderfuck, if she was alive, she would take like a cryogenic freezing machine and like go to Alaska Thunderfuck's show and like freeze him, but keep his mouth open so he can speak, and like keep him on the mantle next to her painting of Jesus, because she's Catholic. We're Catholic people apparently, and we can never escape from it. And yes, this is the insanity of my childhood. And my father was like, we'd be at the beach and be like 11. He's like, my friends and I, and he'd be like, you guys are dropping your shorts, and everyone would be like, in those days it was still okay, like almost okay, because the whole pedophilia thing, people were just starting to figure it out, right? Apparently it's been going on for years. And he's like, they are fucking 11. Let them listen to Rob Zombie and go and build a sandcastle and make war. And then my father, I had to go away because my mother got a restraining order because he took me away for 5 days. And my sponsor's like, I think your father was probably the healthiest person in your life. And my mother is like such a good narcissist that she can convince everybody of anything. Okay,